Hey everybody, it is Mr. Ensminger here with another video on Visual Basic. Today, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Combobox and Listbox. So, just to relate the two of them, there's always some tools that sort of go together well in discussions, like checkboxes and the radio buttons sort of go together because they do the same thing. Combobox and Listboxes, they basically do the same thing. It's just how they do it. What I'm going to do first, before I do anything else, I'm going to have a project here. I called it Combobox and Listbox. Let's just do what we always do. I've got my text Combobox and Listbox. We'll make the background color something exciting, like wheat. Nothing says exciting like wheat. And then, after we get our text in our wheat, or whatever color you pick, I'm going to go to my common controls, and I'm going to first start off with a combo box. Under the common controls, both of these are, if you double click to make a combo box, it is a drop down. And so combo box, like up top here, if I click on debug, like that's a combo box. There's a combo box right here. So the combo box is basically for collections of things. Like if I go to the properties, you can change all the standard stuff about it. Background color and foreground color, font and all that stuff. So for example, let me up the font a little bit just to make things a little bit easier to see, and then maybe change the size of it so there's a little bit more space. For my text, I'm going to put in choose a name for the text. Now, what you're going to find here in a second, combo box is sort of like a text box, but instead of wanting to type something in, choose a name is going to be the title, basically, of the combo box. When I do the drop down, I want to bring up the list that's inside of it. Now, the question is, how do I get to the list? Well, conveniently, in the top right corner of the combo box, there's a little arrow. And if you look there, it says some stuff about data-bound items. Well, don't worry about that. Worry about where it says Edit Items. Click on Edit Items, and it's going to say, hey, enter the strings in the collection. So collection is, if you remember Python, you have your arrays, your lists, your dictionaries, all that good stuff. That's what you're doing here in the combo box. So I'm going to type in 5 different names. So pick 5 names. I'm going to do, let's say, Joseph. Let's see, Rahul and Kelly. How about Tim? And how about Mackenzie? So I have 5 names. Put in 5 names. Hit OK. And where'd they go? Well, on the right side here in the properties, the items property, notice how it has collection here? The 3 dots, that's where they go. They go inside the items. So you can get to it either by going to the 3 dots, the ellipsis button on items, or you can go there by the arrow in the top right corner of the combo box. Now, we can't really open this when we're in the design mode, but just to show you real quick, just because here, here's your combo box. If I drop down, there are my different choices. Now, once you choose something, you can't go back to put in what you had there before. You can type stuff in at the moment. There's properties that can change that. We'll get to that one later on. So if right now, just type in for text, choose a name, put in 5 names. And now let me contrast that with, if I go to my toolbox, I'm going to make a list box. So make your list box, and I'm going to plop that over here on the top right. Now in my design, I'm going to let this blank. But what's going to happen in my program is I'm going to choose names from the drop down. I'm going to add them into this. The list box will show the entire collection all at once, whereas the combo box lets you drop down and choose one at a time. Now, we're not going to do this. I'm going to just show you right here as far as the items go. Again, you can either get to it by going up to the little arrow, going to edit items. There's nothing in there. I don't want anything in there. Under items, I could put items in there. You can change all the stuff about it, though. Background color, foreground color, font, all of that good stuff. I'm going to basically just let it be. When I run the program, just so this is clear to you, the word listbox1 does not appear. It's blank. It's waiting for me to have a list. And so, like I said, my goal is that once I choose, let's say I'm choosing Kelly, I'm going to click a button to put Kelly's name from the combo box into the list box. So I'm going to add on a couple other things here. I'm going to add in a toolbox button. Not adding a toolbox, I'm saying go to your toolbox and put a button. And I'm going to make a little button here in the middle. Nothing particularly fancy, but for the properties, I'm going to say move item. And underneath it, maybe I'm going to do like a little minus greater than, because I'm moving an item from the left to the right. Again, we're not doing anything overly fancy. Like I could use a graphic there with an arrow, but this is a little video demonstration of how something works. So I don't really feel the need to go super elaborate with this. And now, maybe I can resize everything, bring these things in a bit. We're going to enhance this here later on, so don't get too excited. But for right now, that's what I'm going to make. So I have items in the combo box, I have a button, and then I have a list box. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go into the code. I'm going to go into the code for the form itself. All right. As we always do, let's go to the top. Let's put in combo box and list box. Whenever, wherever, and your name. Eventually, I'm going to make this be a random picker, so I am going to start with form load. I'm going to put in the word randomize because, why wouldn't I want to do that? The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my design. I'm going to double click on my button. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'll show you how you can manipulate things from the combo box and list box, but understand that just like checkboxes and radio buttons, they're very similar. So like whatever we did to the checkbox, you can do to the radio button. Well, guess what? Whatever you do to the combo box, you can do the list box. All right. So I'm going to start by keeping this simple. We're going to kind of build it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say list box 1. Now remember, the list box is on the right side. I want to say listbox1 dot items dot add. So you see here, I think probably for the first time, the use of two different dots. We always connected the dots to like an apostrophe S, saying something like my shirt's color. So if I'm talking about something in the third person, I would say something like, this is Amy's shirt's color. So you're using two apostrophe S's there. You're showing ownership of the shirt and then the color of the shirt. So here, you're saying listbox1 has items. And then items has an add. You're saying add stuff into the thing on the right. Now what are you adding? Well, you're adding something from the combo box, combo box 1 dot. So what am I adding? Well, what I'm adding would be the thing that I have selected. You notice it's the very first option here, selected item. So I'm going to pick that. Combobox1.selected item. And before I do anything else, I'm going to run the program. There's more code to come, but for the moment, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, drop down to whoever, Kelly, click, put it in, add in Tim. So it works decently well, right? Seems like it's pretty good. Now, there's a little issue though. I can add these more than once. Now, maybe you want to do that. I don't know. Like you might have a use for that, but in this circumstance, if I'm just adding like one person at a time and I don't want to have multiple, then I don't want to be allowed to do that. So I'm going to go back to my code and I'm going to add a little bit in here. So I'm just basically showing you all the different commands you can do with these things. I'm going to say if listbox1 dot items dot contains combo box 1 dot selected item. Okay, now this if statement would be if it does contain something. So for the if it does contain something, I don't want to add it, right? I don't want to add it. So in here, I'm actually not going to do anything. So say nothing here. I don't want to add a name if it is already there. But then else, now I can put this line of code in to say only allow me to add this in if it's not already there. So there's lots of different commands. I mean, I'm going to look at all of them here in a moment with when you say dot, the IntelliSense comes up. And it just kind of gives you a lot of different choices. But here, let me just show you what happens with this. If I say, oh, it won't let me do it again. Kelly, it won't let me do it again. Tim, won't let me do it again. So, there we go. At the beginning, in case you're curious, it doesn't like that nothing's selected. Okay, that was really quick. See at the beginning, like I don't really have anything selected. Like this text is not an item. Okay. As soon as I select something, there is a selected item, but it doesn't like the fact that right now nothing's selected. Like it's not going to put in choose a name. So I also have to be a little bit careful about that. Notice how it's saying the value can't be null. Null means essentially like it can't be nothing. So I would also have to say something like, if it's not, here, like I said, here's it saying it does contain the item, but then maybe here I can say something like, else if listbox1 dot items dot, well, I actually wouldn't want to say listbox1, sorry. Combo box, I'm getting my things confused. If combo box 1 dot text is not equal to nothing. So let's see if that works. Like, can we add it if there's not nothing? Right? I mean, these are just the little things that you just kind of have to work with. It doesn't like this because it never gets to this point. It doesn't like that there is no selected item. So I'm going to keep this as an else. I'm going to go back up here and, how can I say this? Well, is there a selected item? Well, if combo box 1 dot text is not equal to nothing, then, or how about it is equal to nothing, then, so how do I select something? Combo box 1 dot selected index. So remember from Python, in an array, in a dictionary, in a list, there's the elements, which are the things in there, but then there's also the index, the location. They start at 0. So if you have 5 names, like this list, this combo box, this list box has 5 names, they're numbered 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I want the first one to be numbered automatically, I'm going to say selected index is 0. And then I have to hit stop. I forgot to hit stop. Okay, let's see what that does. Again, we're just kind of muddling through this. So if I click to choose nothing, see, it didn't like that, so I didn't like that. Well, I mean, how about this? Let's, can I drop the if statement completely? Well, if I drop the if statement completely, I've got a problem there because it's going to select the first one no matter what I do. So how do I fix this? Do you see it? You know what's wrong? Well, what's wrong is we're saying there's no text. The problem is there is text. And here's what's a little bit weird about these things. The text and the items are not necessarily the same thing. The text in my box is not nothing. The text in my box is choose a name. So if I put in choose a name in here, like I make it match exactly, because it's a string, so it has to match exactly right with capitalization and all that stuff. If combo box text is choose a name, then force me to pick at least the first name. So let me run this quick. And if I don't pick any name right off the bat, like if I just say choose a name, I hit move item, it's going to pick the first name in my list for me, Joseph. If I run it again and I pick a different name, like let's say pick Kelly, now it's good. So there's the text, which is what's in the box originally, but then as you pick things, you go through and you change things like what item are you selecting? What number item are you selecting? So, I wanted to start with this to show you that, remember that indices are the locations of the elements in the list, and then the items are the actual things. So, to make a little note of that, in a list, an array, combo box, a list box, a collection of items, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. The elements, the items are the entries. The indices, the index values, like indices is plural for that, are the locations of the elements starting at location 0. So that's a key thing about this. Remember that back from Python, they start numbering at 0. All right, so let's go back to our design. I'm going to add in a few other buttons to my program here. So let me just take this and copy and paste a button. Let me put it below, just so I can show you some of these other commands. So first, I'm going to make a button that says clear list. So clear the list completely. I'm going to make another button. I'm going to say remove selected item. So what happens like if you have something in your list you want to get rid of? I'm going to copy and paste and make sort items, and then finally copy paste. Finally, I have pick random. I'm also going to make one more thing since we have that big space. I'm going to go over here and double click label, and I'm going to put label here in this big open space. I'm going to open up the properties, turn the auto size to false, I'm going to say border style, fixed single, make the background color something else, maybe like moccasin, let's say. Wheat and moccasin. And I'm going to expand that. I'm going to make the font something a little bit larger, maybe bold. I'm going to make the text alignment middle center. And then once I have it the way I like it, I'm going to clear it out the text so it's blank. The idea is that once I actually choose something from the list box, it is going to put it in the label box. And that's actually very easy to do. How do you do it? Well, I'm going to double click the list box. A lot of this is one line of code. So you're looking at the code for you changed the selected index. In other words, like you chose a different thing in the box. You can click on a different thing in the box. I want to say label1.text equals listbox1.selected item. Selected item is the one that you selected. It's the selected item. I mean, what else do you want me to say? Run the program and watch this. If I move, move Tim over here, click Tim, hey, Tim shows up, and then move Mackenzie over here, hey, now Mackenzie moves up. So you can go back and forth between the two of them. All right, what if I go back and I double click on clear list? Well, clear list, is also actually a pretty straightforward line of code. Listbox1.items.clear. Wipe them out. Notice it's listbox1.items, like pretty much for all of these things. So add in a couple items here, 1, 2, and then clear it out. Clear it out. Okay. Remove selected items. So when I'm going to remove something, well, how do I do that? So I'm going to say dim num as integer. So I'm make a local variable, declare a number. Num equals listbox1 dot selected index. So I'm trying to compare and contrast here. Item is the actual thing. So anytime you're trying to say like, oh, put this item into a text, it's the item. Number would be the position. So if I get the item, I can say listbox1 dot items dot remove at. Remove at is going to remove something by the location. So if I run this, if I say, okay, let's add a couple things to my list here, add Joseph, add Kelly, remove. It doesn't like that because I didn't actually select something. Remember that issue before? All right, well, let's deal with that in a moment. Let's see if it actually works if we do it, quote unquote, the right way. So let me choose something here, and then if I click that and say remove it, hey, that looks okay. So it works decently well unless I'm trying to remove something. It's saying, yep, the value -1. It doesn't like the fact that the selected index doesn't exist. Would it just be as easy as saying, if it's above 0? Well, how about that? If I say, if listbox1 dot selected index is greater than or equal to 0, then end if. So only let me remove something if I actually have something chosen. So now if I try it, I say, hey, remove, you can't. It won't let you because you haven't selected anything. But now, when you do, it does work. So it's little things like this that make the difference between a program that works when you do it correctly versus a program that works, and it also accounts for the human error, which is how you have to, like most programs must do that. Do not allow the removal when there aren't any items selected. Okay. How about the sort? Well, listbox1.items. Now, again, I said I'd show you this if you haven't looked already, but when you do the dot after the items, look at all the some of the things here. We have clear, we have add, count is like how many things are there. You can add more than one thing at a time. You can add a range of things. If you have like another list you want to combine together, you can do that. Remove add range, and there's contains, count, copy to. Some of these you're not going to figure out. Inserts, remove add, toString. So, for this, I'm actually looking for something that's going to sort my list. But there's nothing that looks like a sort in here. Well, welcome to computers. It's not always as straightforward. If I want to sort the items in the list box, unfortunately, you don't just say dot sorted with the items. You actually back up, get rid of the items, and then say sorted equals true. Because, and it's weird how this works. Some of the properties are the properties of items, and some of the properties of the list box. So if I go over to my design and I look at the properties of a list box, look at this. There's a property here that says sorted. Right now it's false. Well, guess what? If you want to sort something, you just turn it to true. It's, that's why I'm doing this as a video, because it's one of those things that's like, you're not probably going to use this very often, but I just figured maybe I'd show you a little bit about how this all works. So there's out of order. If I hit sort, boom, now it's in order. Very exciting. Now, finally, pick random number. So for the random, what we're going to do for that, and what's nice is it's like one line of code. So you remember up here we said label one text is like whichever one you pick. Well, I'm going to do something similar. I'll say label one dot text equals, and then I have to say, it's equal to label one dot selected index. Or, oops, I typed it wrong. Sorry about that. Listbox one dot selected index. Well, this is a mismatch. Like, I'm trying to pick a random number. I haven't done random yet. Like, I still need int-rnd. Like, you can't match up an index to a text. So what I do is I actually start with this. I actually say, all right, so let's pick a random thing. Listbox one dot selected index equals int-rnd times. Now, how do you know how many are in that box? Is there 1? Is there 5? Did you add more? Is there 10? I don't know. The computer does, though. The range of things in a list box is what I showed you a moment ago. Listbox1.items.count. Give me a random item. Give me a random index from the count. So if there's 5 things, I'm going to give me a random number times 5, which is 0 to 4. And here's what's nice is we're changing the selected index, which then triggers this also. It triggers selected index is changed. So watch what happens. Even though I don't say like put the name into the box, it does it automatically because one affects the other. So if I say, okay, I'm going to put that in there, I'm going to put that in there, I'm going to put this in here, and then pick a different number. Now we pick a different number. So this can be used to pick like groups or teams or a tournament or something like that. So this is a neat little program. This video is on the longer side, but it is getting to the end of the year, and there's just a couple topics we want to make sure we hit. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. There's obviously a couple different places you can take this, but for now, this is it, and I thank you for watching. Take care.